of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing frogs.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got nothing.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
an
an erratic
Mickey
detective, is Mickey Rodriguez.
Why an African slap an Indian? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, good, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Pleasant Monday evening to you. Hope you had a reflecting and satisfactory weekend wherever you are based on time zone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. A lot is happening in the world, particularly in the United States, but there's never a dull moment, a boring moment in Guyana. Guyana politics is one of the most interesting, curious, revealing, yet there are comical sides to it. So there's lots to talk about this evening, and we're going to go in the raw. I don't know if I said it the way. I don't know if I can imitate it. I will ask my co-host Leonard to say in the raw. But our guest this evening is the host of the social media program In the Raw. He is Muslim preacher and well-known businessman. He was also a leading voice as a commissioner in the Ethnic Relations Commission. Our guest this evening is Haji Roshan Khan. In the Raw. In the Raw. Operator, let's go in the Raw. Let's go in the Raw.
Well, dearest friends, in the Raw.
You got it?
RK's Guyana for
all the
Media.
people who
Your
are
friend, your brother, me, Haji, Dr. Roshan Khan. In the Raw. We went to New Amsterdam. We have accomplished what we went for. We are in returning. Shared a lot of views. I made a lot of messages.
Leonard, you can't see that. You don't have that pitch.
No.
In the Raw.
That's tremendous range.
This tremendous range. I haven't got it.
Not really. The only man I ever saw who did it really good, pretty well, and cut almost the exact pitch was a very little man, moved like dynamite, the Honorable Minister of Finance, Ashni Singh.
All right, listen. I'm a little man. I'm a scrawny guy. Let me see if I can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're presenting the host of the social media program, Roshan Khan, in the Raw. In the Raw.
It has to come from in here. That's nice for a laugh.
Mr. Khan, thanks for being on the program. You know my co-host, Leonard Craig.
Mr. Craig, pleasure to meet you, sir.
Let's start with the ERC. Mr. Khan, I think a lot of people have a problem with the composition of the ERC and GCOM. GCOM is administered, run by a GCOM commission which has people that are in the leadership of political parties. How could one be in a political party and be in charge of the election? Isn't that opening the door for mischief? Because the one party is likely to lose, and that party commissioner could say, listen, we're going to lose this election, we're going to make sure things go haywire. The other thing about the Ethnic Relations Commission, if you have an overt Indian organization and an overt African organization that takes political side, isn't it a recipe for never-ending trouble when you put them in the ERC? One is going to say, I am not prosecuting this African guy. It's my people. The Indian organization say, the representative of the Indian organization say, I am not going there. So I was wondering, how did it pan out when you were a member of the ERC?
I'll tell you what, when you become a member of the ERC, your personal association with institutions or organizations which might have voted or sponsored you, you are not supposed to be any longer prejudiced for that institution, that group, whether ethnic or whatever, religious, political, whatever. You're now supposed to become a body that is concerned about bringing this unity and goodwill. Basically, that is the principle, the philosophy behind the creation. There has been cases whereby there were certain, it could have been observed, prejudice politically for the government of that day in the time when I was there. That was in the previous government. I could have observed that, I could have seen that. And there were certain goings on that I did not appreciate, and because I would speak about it, and sometimes one or two other persons would speak about it, you started to get a certain amount of marginalization and critique because they want you to carry their point of view. But as it comes to Indianness, you have somebody representing the Indian organization. At that time was Mr. Niyaz Saban. I was representing the Muslim. You had someone who was representing the Afro-Guyanese side. That was Mr. Braffit, and so on. But some of them still didn't get the point, and I keep on berating the point that once you become a member of the Ethnic Relations Commission, your prejudices for your institutions, for your ethnicities, for your religions actually comes to an end. That is the principle by which former president, now VP, former President Dr. Barry Jagdeo, and Hugh Desmond Hoyt, another former president and late president, when they came to the idea and the philosophy of creating the ERC to create harmony and goodwill within the organization and within the people, to create goodwill and understanding, travel, listen to the pains and the heartaches of the people and try to help them and guide them and so on. Whether that was successful in my time and currently, that's another question, and that you may ask that if you wish.
I will come back to that. Leonard.
Staying on the question of the ERC, there are many people who believe that the ERC is not really serving its purpose, in the sense that there are several things that happen in society that threatens the fabric of unity in the country, and the ERC is super silent. Is the ERC supposed to be silent? Are ERC members equivalent to, in practice, judges, that judges don't come out and speak publicly? Is that so? Or should we expect the ERC, or let me phrase the question this way: is it misguided to expect the ERC members or the ERC itself to communicate more often with the public through the press or whatever means?
That might not be a bad idea to communicate more in the open, but not every person and not every leader too much like the media. You know, I don't like to use the media, but I think that is a very good idea. However, we had cases and situations in which we were traveling through the country and listening to the people. Listening to the people is one, taking their concerns is very well all intertwined, but then how far can you go after that to solve their problems? It's only a 3 years period for the commissioners of the ERC. So when you go into various areas of this country and you're listening to people, there is very little you could really do when you listen to those people out there and bring it out here. When you bring it now into the city, they would write some letters to this department and to that department, but we cannot make a pronunciation on the police to take action, or we can recommend. So this is one of the problems, and to my opinion, and to most of them, the 3-year period was too short to really achieve anything, because we listen to the people, you try to do some things, you try to inform agencies and departments and ministries and so on. We never went back. We never had a chance to go back. And this is what I understand and actually sympathize with the current group of the commissioners of the Ethnic Relations Commission. I must let you know, we had many cases, and certain times, yes, kind of judges, but always the kind of judges, and I noticed this one here, this group, is trying to do the same thing. They listen when there are complications, when there are attacks on each other on racism, or they make critique and so on of each other. We would listen to them, and then we try to create a harmony of goodwill and peace without going to court. When those people who do not come, when you request them to come in, after having had a complaint and so on, then we move to the police. So they could get charged by the police for certain aspects of breaching the law in ethnicity in particular. We had a case whereby one Afro-Guyanese guy went into the quarantine area, and he was complaining that people in the area were not giving him an opportunity or giving him a hard time. And on the other hand, I come from the quarantine, and I was boasting about how we in the quarantine, we don't have ethnicity. I don't know what it is. It doesn't exist for me. I learned it from Region 4. I'm speaking of my personal self, because I never knew what it is. And then there was, we listened to the guys, and then peace created. We listened to them, peace was created. In that and many other cases, you always try to avoid going to court, which will take time, could take weeks and many, many months, and you try to create peace. That is what the Ethnic Relations Commission, to my view and my understanding, are. We do make act as judges at times, and we can say from what the evidence is coming, it seems that you are wrong. And okay, you are wrong, but or you are not wrong, and this one is wrong. And so, you know, apologize, shake hands, and we come to a good understanding. We had cases in my time when persons were taken before the court and charged. And seriously too, in cases of ethnicity in particular.
You could remember any?
I can't recall their names and so on, but I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't mention names, but there were some cases like that where people did go to court, and the matters were tried, and they were found guilty. And
but then that's in the public. If you could remember, you should call names.
No,
that's in the public.
I can't remember the names.
But listen, I want to ask you something. The current makeup has a Rastafarian person. Mm-hmm. Is a Rastafarian representative chosen from that religion? Do you know if that is so?
The Rastafarian person was chosen by their group.
Okay, well.
Yeah, they were.
Well,
he was.
Before Craig comes in, if you could have, I would like to think demographically, the Rastafarian community, I have a lot of cultural sympathies for the Rastafarian movement, maybe because of the way I grew up. But it's a small, numerically, it's a small group in Guyana. I think the Portuguese would have more members of the Portuguese community than the Rastafari, and so the Chinese. Why don't we extend the ERC to bring in other people so you can balance this Indian and African suspicion?
I tell you what, we do have an Amerindian representative. There is an Amerindian representative in our group, and currently...
what about women and youth?
Yes, we have women, and we have youth.
So we need to go.
We have these commissioners. We have these commissioners.
So we need to go to the Portuguese.
That will not be a bad idea.
The Baha'i and
the Portuguese are very positive people, and maybe the Chinese. I can't. You're talking to the wrong person here, but I can give an opinion. And my opinion, yes, they should be included. The Chinese are a very powerful component of the population in this country, very articulate and very contributing. And so are the Portuguese. Don't underestimate the Portuguese at all. I think they should have a commissioner for Portuguese there.
Let's go over to Leonard, Clay.
All right. I would like to see, though, if those who are so charged this time around, if the commission could actually interface more with the public, come out, even if it's once a quarter, meet with the press, explain what are some of the work they have been doing, how far they have gone, and let people know more about what they're doing, because they remain a kind of a silent group, and that is just my own feeling on that aspect of the commission.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, sir.
No. Go ahead.
No,
make your point. No, this is your program, you know.
No,
we have time when it's
I thought it was in the Freddie Kissoon Show, man.
No. You go on.
This is a different version of In the Law.
In the Law. All right. I'll tell you what. Mm-hmm. This current group of commissioners, and I respect it. They're doing, to my opinion, the kind of work we have done. They're doing very similar. You're moving out, you're fanning out into the country at different times, meeting all kinds of people, bringing their complaints, their difficulties, their hardships, and so on. Unfortunately, we had cases where one person was saying, "Listen, I come here, I need an ATV for this, and that." I said, "Oh gosh, you're talking to the wrong person." So some of this happens, right? The people will bring their personal needs instead of what is really ethnic relations commission. Things has to do with religion.
He said they want an ATV.
ATV. We had that in the interior. They would like us to help them to get an ATV, but it was speaking to the wrong people. You got to go to the Ministry of Agriculture or something of that, or Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. So we go out and we meet people and we listen to them. With interacting with the media, it is a good idea. They said we would send out press releases as to what happened. They would even we used to send out little bits and pieces from what I could recall. Mr. Niasoban was the public relations officer, and to my opinion, he was doing a phenomenal piece of work as the PR officer. And sending out all missives and little videos here and there. We had shows and so on, but interacting with the media was not something that we were doing. We would have events like if it's Eid al-Adha, Pagwa, we'd have events, bring children together, go talk to them, explain to them the ERC and so on, go to workplaces and so on, go to schools and educate people about this peace and this harmony and the goodwill. And all of us at most times, we were quite united with the views and the ideas until, of course, it came near to election period and certain things started to happen at that time. But basically, we were on one track, working together. I had to belabor the idea to some people that you are not here as a member of your ethnic organization. And we're not talking about the Yasaman, but one particular person always only representing his organization and said, we are representing the nation. This Ethnic Relations Commission represents the nation.
You told him that?
Oh, I told him that several times. I mentioned that many times in there when anybody will go astray, because I had that established when we met the first time at Parliament and we elected the chairman. And when I was letting it be known, because I did some studies on it, that you have to let go of that particular portfolio or group that you represented who appointed you. For example, I did nothing at all to say, well, I Muslim or Muslim and so on, or try to speak, I'm going to represent only my community. No, that is not the way the ERC is supposed to work, in case some people might not understand that. It's bringing all these people together to work in harmony together at this magnificent forum and grouping called the Ethnic Relations Commission.
All right. Let's talk some politics.
Okay. That's Freddie's favorite thing, man.
I gonna continue politicals relating to the ERC before we go into other political matters. Then we'll continue with some other things. I think while you were a commissioner, there was a controversy about some statements you made on Facebook that people believe wasn't too kosher with respect to impartiality. How did you handle that kind of thing? Because you are out there, you got a program, you're out there, you speak a lot, people, and sometimes things you say might be construed as being in favor of a particular party, and then as soon as you talk about being in favor of a party, people think you're being in favor of a race. How did you navigate that?
Before you
mentioned the word construed.
Before you answer that, that was my next question, so you preempt me. But when I read those things, I thought he went too far in the law. You don't think so?
Okay. All right. I don't know what you read, but he says construed, that people could construe, and I said people could, my word is coming, misconstrue. I recall when there were cases, particularly in the Upper East Coast area, the area people were being beaten, houses were being attacked, people were being pelted, people were raped, cars were being burnt, houses being burnt.
That was September 2020, right?
People were being turned back violently, people were being chopped, people raped. Somebody couldn't understand that. And then also they were burning houses, and they burned people's houses, and people felt very timid. And I am not only a member of the ERC, people were calling upon me for some guidance and some advice, and I am also a security service provider for over 45 years. I've passed 45 years, starting with $7, and you should talk about those things, those entrepreneurs who start with nothing. Sometime, have a program, it's interesting. And people are calling upon me. They need some advice. What should we do? So I say, form yourself into your communities. Just do not be prejudicial to people of other ethnicities in your community, and protect yourself. Do not use anything like sharp instruments or anything. The most you should carry is something that is legal, which is a baton, in order to defend yourself. Do not be the aggressor. That's not my words. Never be an aggressor, but be a defender. That's the basic concept of the religion of Islam. We must never attack, but we must be able to defend. So this goes for anybody, any community, any ethnicity where they feel they've been threatened. Form yourself into a group. Protect yourself and protect the minorities in your community. But if anybody is coming, just defend yourself. And don't use instruments or anything that could be deleterious or destructive. But one particular person in the former government did not like my Indira when I was exposing certain things. So he used this and he put it out there and sent it to all their people around the world to come down and try to say this. So what you were hearing is what other people are saying and what they're writing. But I stood my ground. NCN gave me a chance to go and explain. And I was asked, do you regret? And I said, no, I don't regret. I'm speaking in the form of a security service provider, as a private law enforcement officer, that you have the right to protect yourself, but never become an aggressor.
So you don't want us to know who is that person? You didn't name him.
You want me to name him?
Yeah.
He was the head of the Ministry of the Presidency.
Joseph Harmon.
Joseph Harmon. He's the man who started the whole thing. And because they were very upset, things were not going in their favor, and all this is happening. So I came out of that, and he was an intelligence officer, and so he know these techniques.
He was chief of intelligence in the army during Biden.
Man, you know the thing good, man. So he did all of that and tried to use his alliances and his connections locally and internationally to try to break me. Is it possible for anybody to break this man? Who can build a business to this time for 45 years
So
with
you are
$7.50?
You
I am
are
a brick. I'm like Freddie Kissoon.
No. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
I'm unbreakable. You're unbreakable.
So
that was the man, Harman. And also, I don't mind saying it. This is a fact of life. Harman actually, after them taking power, went out to destroy my business.
What?
Went to destroy my business. 93% he took.
93%
Almost.
he took?
On my bed. Nobody don't know what I went through.
Oh, you mean he withdrew services
The
from...
contracts which I had won by illegal tender. Nobody ever give you nothing. By legal tender. By legal tender. So what he did, every time he go and see an RK's card, he started to give him notice to terminate. Terminate now. Terminate. One person called me, a big one from a main place in High Street, one of the High Street location, a big. I can't mention that because it will not be right. The gentleman said, Roshan, I know you won this tender, but can you pull off right away? I'm getting ordered to pull. This is a powerful individual who has to create reports and so on to the government periodically and so on. And he said, Roshan, just pull this service, pull it now. And I had to pull it off. So
because he was getting...
Then I want to... Now, after that, I wrote the president. I'm employing... The people might not realize it. 90% of my workforce are Afro-Guyanese.
Yes.
So I can't be
anyone can
ethnically
most secure.
And only that, and then my management. And so I cannot be ethnically prejudiced. Plus, I grew up with Afro-Guyanese. I love Afro-Guyanese, like you. I will fight and defend them more than other races because I grew up with that community in Skeldon. That's why I said we never had that. But this
he's
man,
Bobbition, you know.
Well, he's saved, man. He's saved.
He's from Leeds, right? Leeds, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right. We just have races, man. Skeldon race. The place there we just have races in Leeds. Leeds had some good young men who could race, man. That boys could sprint. Beat me up.
This one the bad egg some Leeds.
Anyhow, what this guy did, right? I wrote the president, I realized. Why are we interfering with this guy's business? I didn't do. It's after that I turned kind of semi-radical, right? And I wanted a tender. I won the tender. They can charge me, can sue me if you want. I'm glad if you can sue me. And you know that man went with his group and his people, and the day I was supposed to start, like Monday, the Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, the PS, and I can call his name, of Ministry of Education then, Welsh. Right. Welsh sent me a letter that your service is terminated with immediate effect. And I started. But when we investigated the whole thing, and somebody from the PNC made an arrangement for me to see the Secretary of Finance. To see the Secretary of Finance.
That's a guy named Butts.
A doctor. We was a doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Butts.
The man is a genius.
I went to YouTube.
The man was a genius, man. The man listened to this thing here, and he was very upset. And he was calling, he called Welsh, and I'm watching his lips. How he's speaking, and he's giving Welsh some hell. The Welsh tell he got instruction. Then he asked Welsh, and I heard this one even on the air. Did you get a letter? Why, if they tell you to terminate the contract before he starts, why didn't you ask for a letter? You are the one who's going to get into all the trouble. Anyhow, we got some compensation later on from who? The PPP government, because we had taken them to court.
But you didn't tell us if the president replied. You said you wrote.
No. The president, let me tell you something. Granger, a man always replies.
Oh, he
I honor him. President David Arthur Granger, and he would write his letter personally, and he would sign it in green. I have those letters, man. I respect the guy for that. And so something happened, and so I won that contract. I won that one, but Harman made sure, Mr. Harman made sure that I couldn't start, and he demolished it. And the rest is history. But I was still strong. I kept all my people, you know. I kept all my workers. Each and every one of them, I financed them and I paid them. Okay, if they were working 6 days a week, I paid them for 3 and 4 days from my pocket. Just to keep good people who served me. I had workers work for me for 40 years, 38 years. So you don't lose those people because the contract gone. You try to maintain them, basically. So that's the man, Harman. Harman was the man who did it all. But still living, that's why I said, I am unbreakable.
Okay, I'm happy for you to have told your story, and
It's gone into history.
Yeah. We don't want to interrupt when you speak your own story. That's your personal story. That's the way you want to tell it. You answered the next question I was about to ask. People have accused you of being a racist.
Oh my God!
And I'm coming straight, right?
That hurts. That hurts.
Right, but you've seen the accusation.
I've seen
Facebook
a few,
and so on.
but
right?
I'll tell you what. Okay, can
right?
I answer?
No. Okay. Let me just finish. That accusation have come on Facebook and other forums. I think. Let me don't call the other names of the forums, but that accusation was made, and usually, or many times, when the accusation is made, people bring into the conversation that you have, as you said, majority Afro-Guyanese workers, and there's a claim that they are not always well treated. How do you respond to that?
I don't know how. This is a kind of a people who would make these kinds of ludicrous statements, not knowing anything. Especially if I'm supporting. I'm a supporter of President Excellency Dr. Irfan Ali. I have not.
We comment to that.
Yeah.
You remember we said politics.
Okay, fine.
To that.
So when I make any statement or in the raw reading something in support which I like the housing and the lands and the development and the agriculture and all these kinds of things, it upsets some people. And they will get annoyed and so they accuse you all kinds of things. You know, you never see RKs being charged by the GRA or Roshan Khan for anything. You never see NIS ever in history. Even when we just had 4 guards to now, we are possibly one of the 2 or 3 security services who are paying fully for all workers. So people say these kinds of things in a ludicrous manner, not knowing anything. I would say irracial or prejudice.
You call them mischief-makers.
You're right. They exist no matter what you do. Right? One person was saying,
damn if you do, damn if you don't.
You're stealing the people NIS. I said, well, look, I don't know you, but I'm challenging you with somebody who knows to come in and check our records with you and go to the NIS and challenge them to come. Right? Because we are always on ball with that very important. I had guards who died on the job, off the job, had accidents, and then we have another insurance, private. We took another private insurance of $2 million in case somebody died by accident on the job or off the job. Most security companies are going to have people covered only on the job. It's cheaper. Yeah. But we cover off the job, minibus crash, man falling on the bicycle, the head crush. We cover those people. And we have gotten benefits from insurance companies for things like that in the past for our people. So people don't know. They're just talking some kind of emotionality, trying to find a weak point to knock you. This is the reality. They think they're reaching a sensitive. Sometimes I just let them go. Because I realize I'm dealing with some nefarious people with negative attitudes or negative behavior. So I can, look, my mother, we live with Afro-Guyanese next door in Loji, you know. We live in Loji, and we live in Africa next door. The children come and eat in we pot. I think you know these kind of things. We go and eat in them pot. And so on. So this kind of camaraderie, my brother Andy, I was very disappointed when I saw him a few years back. He turned an alcoholic. It hurt my heart. But this is how we grew up. We loved each other. If my mother think or hear that I have some kind of racism thing, she would probably come from her grave, God bless her soul. She passed recently, and she would slap me. We cannot and ever be prejudiced against any race, and particularly Afro-Guyanese. And a lot of people don't know. I got 2 daughters. Previous marriage. Previous life. Married to Afro-Guyanese. One is a doctor from Ethiopia. The other one was Jamaican. He misbehaved and they broke up.
These are things people need to know.
Well, that's the fact. I have 2 daughters, and when
4 of my siblings
one of them became
African.
She worked to help the one who is now a doctor, and they're building a beautiful life. They got a beautiful daughter. But what am I going to do? Just go and tell? I mentioned this before in the media. I have 2 daughters who, one of them, they broke up because the Jamaican guy is never happy with one woman. And so they broke up eventually, but they made a kid. And I have another the other one, they also made a kid, and they're happy, and I go and visit them, and we have great times, and so on. He's a medical doctor, orthopedic psychiatrist. Never heard of that. But so this is reality. How can you be racial? Anybody who is racial in this country needs to go into exile. Because we need each other in this country. Racism and ethnic preference? No. People want to marry amongst their own or live amongst, but we must never be prejudiced to hurt another people in any way whatsoever. I always say those people need to go into exile. We don't need people with racism in this country.
Okay. My next question is this. You were on social media. You congratulated, and people have said that you endorsed Simona Brooms for a new party, and you just said you support Dr. Irfan Ali. How do you reckon these two?
You see, these are people
Which one is in the raw?
Well, I'm speaking in the raw. I know Simona Brooms. When she sees me, she calls me brother. She treats me with respect, even when she was a minister. There was a little problem one time, and she sent for me, and I don't need to go. I could send one of my officers. So I went in, and there was nothing really, and we beautiful, and then we became very, very nice. I don't pass her on the road. I call her sister. So I've just mentioned sister, congratulations. And I said to people who wanted to attack me, oh, he endorsed Simona Brooms. I haven't even endorsed President Irfan Ali or the PPP. I just like the things that the PPP and see government are doing at the moment, and I will applaud them. And then previously, when the other government and in power would have done things, I would have applauded them. I'm not just a maniac, madman, politically. A time might come I might decide to endorse, but Simona Brooms, no, that was just something trying to attack me. At the same time, that same group was even trying to attack my family. And shamefully, if you have a difference, we were trained by our parents, and my children are trained in the same manner. If you see adults are having problem, neighbor, you children don't have problem with the adult next door, nor their children. And that is how our children grew up. Why would they bring in your children and try to affect you and destroy you? So they were hitting on this thing with Simona Brooms, because I said, Sister Simona, I congratulate you and wish you all the best. We must meet sometime. Words to that effect. And I will meet with her. And I might invite her. I think of starting a program called In the Raw. I normally send out messages, read messages, but I think of starting something like this, In the Raw. Now, Freddie is my inspiration in many things you don't know, including In the Raw. So, Simona is a wonderful lady. Politics is something very funny. It turns brilliant, good, amazing people when they want to go into this political thing into strange beings. When Simona was articulating her new party, that is the Simona I know. And that I like. I saw the other behavior during the election period in 2020 and so on, always going on. But she's my like we respect and love each other. So those guys who wanted to make some kind of hay in the rainfall, they were doing a very bad thing to themselves.
So before we come to the next question, I just want to say this quickly. I think that's an area in Guyana that we need to educate people on.
Very much.
Is that you could be cordial with people of other parties. It doesn't mean you have to support what they're doing or anything like that. You could call out people and still be cordial.
Yes.
They are people in each party to whom it falls to do attacking.
No.
Some people for their political party, they're either in the upper echelons, they're either in the executive or something, and they could attack people on the other side because it's part of politics. But those of us who do not have executive positions, ministerial positions, but we just support a political party we like, I think we must be free to be cordial, to congratulate other people on steps they have taken and all of that. And it doesn't mean that you endorse the specific political action they take, but you show cordiality to the person for being a person and for attempting to put themselves out there to make Guyana better. And I think more of us gotta go in that direction.
I wanted to know why Granger didn't reverse the 93% reduction. I mean, here is a man whose business has been reduced by 93%.
70%, he said.
No, 93%.
93%, he said. That's the term you use?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That is almost taking away your business.
Yes.
Why didn't Granger say, man, why didn't he go to Harman?
In my opinion, it was too late, and he did. Because remember, I won a tender. I was a reasonable lender. We felt good about it, but Harman went behind their back and damaged it just before they came out of power. Just before they came out of power, I won.
What was the beef between you,
contract.
Harman? What happened?
Somehow or the other, he
in
marked
the
me
past?
sometime before the elections. I make commentaries, right? I made commentary
That's before
about
2015.
before 2015. When I mentioned, I hope we will not go back to the time and they get upset with this name, the Bornamite era. I use that word. When people would be searched in their body and their crevices, where ladies and men had to sprawl their legs and hop to see whether they have anything hidden in their crevices. And that was something, it appeared, that hurt him. Because I'm saying, I hope the PNC and the APNU government will not start those kinds of things again and humiliate and embarrass people.
So you think that is the catalyst for...
And that might have been why, and he did mention to some people who I saw, whom I know, and was in the military with him. The guy came from overseas and said, Harman, he went to meet Harman, and Harman mentioned the fact that he will never do anything to help me.
All right.
But I made it quite clear, I believe in the Creator. I'm a creationist. And I believed you can do nothing to hurt me that the Creator would not allow you to do. So I kind of accept those kinds of things at times. But I did do what I had to do. I did go public. I did file an action against them for when they terminated that contract before I could have started.
What happened to the court case? What happened to the court case?
No, the new government took over, and they came to a settlement, a mild settlement, and in principle we accepted it. And it's not fair to go fight this government for the sins of the previous government.
Okay.
So you're saying that David Granger was amenable to...
He was a gentleman, man. For me?
Okay.
He was a classical gentleman. I have nothing against many people in his party and many people in the PNC would see me and talk. This is the only time that I was never invited since the Burnhamite era to one of their congresses. Is the one that was held last year. Yeah. The only time I was not invited. Every time I'm invited, forever, historically.
And you go.
And when Amna Ali was there and the previous General Secretary,
they invited you.
I would go in PPP time and all of them, I am going to go. People invited me, they respect me, and I will go.
I like
Not blacklist you.
Well, just like we did Amna Ali and Obrajin Ryan and Natasha St. Louis and all of them.
Amanza, Walton
this year,
Ford,
a presidential woman, you know. I see her as a presidential woman, you know. Walter Desir.
Okay.
You are.
She and I had a little tiff at one time.
She's from quarantine too.
Well,
you all had the tiff when she said Indian people can't think for themselves. I know that was when you took her up with that.
Yes, and I mentioned the point.
You were in the ERC
She went to the police when I mentioned that we have to mark this person, but they took the warrant and they went with the same lawyer you called just now, and they went to try to create a crisis, and then everything.
You have to mark a person.
It just for her words. You got to be careful with what she might be liable to do.
The police contacted you?
Yeah, the police said, listen, they went to DPP, nothing.
It went to the DPP.
For me to see if I can get a
said
charge.
You have to mark this lady.
But why would you say that though? Why would you say that?
It depends upon what he means.
That's what getting to.
It's not a mark.
What do you mean? You gotta keep focus on this woman.
But personally, I mentioned before and even after, I see her as a presidential woman. I see her as a great contender for the PNC. I would support her. I would even make a contribution if she's going up.
I'll be ostracize her.
Yes.
All right. Staying on politics. You've made it clear here today that you've not endorsed the PPP, but you like the president. You like what he's doing. You like the program of the PPP.
Something like Mr. Bond.
So far.
I think Mr. Freddie Kissoon too.
Right. Good. So it is from that standpoint that we expect whatever you say, knowing that you've already made those statements. What do you think of the leadership of Aubrey Norton and his prospects at the next election?
Oh God, that's a beautiful question.
And then I'm gonna come to, well, let me ask it all in one. Let me don't take them one at a time. What do you think?
He's going in the raw.
I did
it already in the raw.
What do you think of the leadership of the AFC, Anog, and we just mentioned Simona? Those are the people who have declared their presidential ambition. I'm not talking, there might be others who are coming later, but the ones that have declared their presidential ambition so far are the people in Anog, the people in the AFC, the people in the PNC, and Simona Broom.
No, you left out. But Ginger Bessessa wrote a letter in the papers and he signed as
presidential candidate.
Okay.
Well,
President Bessessa one time had a problem with the way I speak. He thinks I'm imitating Forbes Burnham.
Oh, really?
Ginger Bessessa told
yes, on Facebook. And I said, Richard Bessessa, for me to compare my style of speechcraft and words to Forbes Burnham, that's a great compliment, man. That's Burnham, and very few people could speak.
Why would Bessessa be so petty?
He has, very petty, very petty. And then the quarrel happened, and I
gotta ask him what.
I ended up blocking him. You know, he wanted me to speak like him. You lived in Canada. I developed this myself as a child, my style of speech. Not because I went to Canada.
Wanted you to speak like
him. Yes. So I said, you want me to speak like you, man? Hey, buddy, I can't speak like you. I'm sorry. And then he keep on digging, and I don't have time to waste. I just.
No, you shouldn't have blocked him.
Yeah, I'm an opening back.
You always in the raw, man.
I opening back.
You could deal with people in the raw.
That is petty, man.
No, it's not petty. No, the man keep on, and I get fatigued with it. I got fatigued.
The man got to you.
He didn't get to me.
The man got to the unbreakable Roshan Khan. The man broke you.
No, he didn't.
All right, let's talk about the party.
Let me come back with the party.
Yeah.
With Norton, when Harman did not want to give up his seat, I went publicly in the raw on behalf of Norton. Because the man is the leader. And he's the one who should be sitting in there. And so I supported him. I really thought that Norton, with the experience from the Burnham, let me give Burnham his real name, from the Burnham's era, coming all the way through with all the presidents, even Desmond Hoyt and even Chetty Jagan era, coming all the way through. And you're seeing this man's pronouncements and the way he speaks and the way he makes his mouth and the way he talks. And I'm seeing so much of ludicrosity that I...
Ludicrous. There is no such word.
Anyhow, while he was being ludicrous then,
yeah,
I put a little bit, you know, some people create words, man, and they become international.
You're like the American,
yeah, man.
You're embellishing
I create word, man.
You're embellishing the Queen's language.
Yes, man. I help Her Majesty the Queen. And so I lost a lot of respect for this guy. I thought he would have come out with some intellectual things, some amazing thing, even taking some from Forbes Burnham and Desmond Hoyt. And then his constant comments on negativity and childishness, to my opinion, and pettiness. I really lost it for him. I stopped calling him even Mr. for a long time. But because we're coming closer to election, I made it known on Indira, I will now add back the Mr. to him. Give him a chance. All right? You asked, so that is where it comes to him. You asked also about the other, Simona Brooms. I think I personally believe she can take a seat or two from the PNC if she runs independent. I think so. She has her plans in there. She has her fingernails and her grips in there. And her people listen to her. Her people, they listen to her. She has a sway with them. And I wish her all the best. And I Sister Broom, I love you, girl. we got to hug up, and you and I got to go have a tea afternoon, and people can say I endorsing you or I anti whatever.
Nigel Hughes?
Nigel, I really like this guy. I made a lot of pronouncement about him in recent times. He has disappointed me so much since he declared himself as the presidential candidate, and it might be, the word might not exist again, his pronouncement in nonsensicalities, pettiness, trying to dig, and I call it, in the local quarantine language, we had a boy who used to put his finger in a certain part of his body and smell it. So we used to call him dig and smell. So to me, Nigel Hughes, this big, powerful, apparent, I even recommended him for senior council, right? He has become so petty, looking for what you may call it, he's looking for opportunity to dig and to smell. I am very disappointed with this man. I was looking also, now that he take the AFC, and the AFC went down so bad under Ramjatan's era, Mr. Ramjatan's era, could this man win my heart? Could I come out in support? But when he started doing all this inanities and stupidities and vulgarities, folks want to use those words, right?
That's how it's right then.
You know, Forbes Burnham is one of my heroes in speechcraft, man. But I like Forbes Burnham.
I'm a terrible host. Go on, I'm cutting you too often. Go on with Nigel Hughes.
Yeah, so Nigel disappointed me tremendously. This giant that I thought he would have been, and I said it in the raw, and I made notes on Facebook. I'm very disappointed with him for the things he say and the things he do, trying to make hay, I used that word already, in rain. Because now you're waiting for sunshine. Any little thing, oh, look, the government here. Oh, look, one time he's saying we should have a coalition government. Now they should. And then I said, but the government in power has to trust the other. You have to have faith in the other, because you bring in the other guy who's your sworn enemy and they will try to destroy you. So he went and made back a comment, oh, well, shame on Guyana with this kind of a description that you were giving, that we can't have a coalition because you don't trust each other. I said, you have to build trust. I always said so.
You know, the AFC wrote a press release and questioned his qualification and called him a discard. You don't think it's a Jumbie Lash? You call somebody a discard?
Who they call him?
The AFC called him a discard.
Oh!
Issued a press release.
Called
him a discard.
Okay. Oh, that's obnoxious.
I call it a Jumbie Lash.
Okay. Obnoxious. Decrypted. Disgraceful to use. You need to win people when you are in running for political power. You need to win hearts and minds. Not to go and dig and smell, as Nigel Hughes is doing.
I remember that term on the quarantine. we did use the term, yeah. We did use the term.
Yeah, and I got news for you guys. Quarantine. That's a basic thing among working class people since the 40s.
Okay.
Oh, really?
All right.
At primary school,
all the years I live in Georgetown, I never heard the word. I'm the only person I hear still using the word.
You didn't go to school in Georgetown.
That's right.
Well, maybe it fade out in
But this particular boyfriend of ours,
that's faded out.
He was a big, tall, fat guy. We used to call him. Yeah.
No, you had dig and smell in our primary school in
because we caught the guy many times pushing his fingers and taking a smell.
Stop that. But let's talk about where were you? And were you in the raw from March to July 2020? Were you in the raw?
Yes.
You were in the raw?
Yes.
And how did you manage in the raw?
Well, that is when it actually started.
March. It started March.
During that whole election time, once or twice I made a comment. And when I saw what was going on with the attempt to steal an election, to steal a nation, I couldn't have taken it. I couldn't have sat down there and seeing as an observer this wholesale attempt at thievery. Unfortunately, I even had to scream at the CEO in there, which was recorded and spread out around the place.
That was Lowenfield.
Yeah. I had to scream, there's a shame. And you know, Freddie, I got a very big voice.
I know.
I don't have to put out, I don't have to bring it out to make the voice big. It's automatically big, you know? And so when I tear off on him, you are going to go down in shame and disgrace Mr. Lowenfield for what you are trying to do here at this time. And people recorded it, you know. And they sent it to the ERC, and some people are trying to say, I use a racist word. They were adding it now. Oh, you use some racist thing. Me? I will never use a racist thing. I said, my dead mother will come and slap me. I said, you are doing nonsense and bringing shame and disgrace to this nation, to this country. You want to steal an election. And you know, in the beginning, when everything was taking place, I was sending out small messages that I'm still not blaming the PNC. I was blaming GCOM. GCOM had their conspiracy to do whatever they want to do. I wasn't blaming because the PNC was they still were my friends. They were still so I have always had a soft heart for the PNC, especially since you, Desmond Hoyt. I always have had a soft heart. But when I saw what was going there, I couldn't stay quiet. And then this thing here, and then it started to get 100,000 views. And the thing started spreading in Europe. I heard it went into the White House. I heard it went into the Congress. And they're looking at all it. And so on. This thing became so huge that in the raw, I couldn't take anybody. We be very similar. Very, very similar people.
You want to speak for yourself?
No, you're a warrior, you know, man.
All
right.
Did I answer? Oh, anyone else? Anog?
Anog, yeah.
Anog, in that last election, they were neither here nor there. I don't see them making any kind of a thing big. They're trying to get there, but I don't see any big like them taking any major seats or so on in this coming.
And what would if Glenn now come on the scene?
Oh, Glenn. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. He didn't ask the question, you know.
Do you actually think Glenn Lal would start a separate party? Do you actually think?
You're asking him?
I think he's going to back out. I don't think
he's the guest.
I don't see how Glenn Lal would like. You know what it is like to go on the eyeball of the nation and the world with all the kind of a history that you have had in your life to go stand as a presidential candidate in this country with all that we have out here, with all the facts and the history and the businesses.
Remember the WikiLeaks cable?
Oh God! Yes.
Do you think the PNC, APNU can win this election?
No.
As a coalition?
With the AFC or
with
whatever?
The AFC
I don't think so. And I predicted that they would have lost the last one. I predicted because of many things. Looks simple. $9,000 when we take power. $9,000 per bag for paddy. I'll remember that. To the rice farmers, to the millers. You know what that did to the rice farmers and the Essequibo and the upper quarantine and so on. And when the time came now, the people were asking now after the election, well, you know, the rice industry is a private business. The sugar workers in the upper quarantine. Sugar was too big to shut down or to close. And then you had suddenly overnight, without a warning to the sugar workers, then you had Ramjatan from that area. I'll give him Mr. Mr. Nagamutu.
Mr. Rafa Chatman.
From the quarantine. They're talking about, they know the people. They didn't tell the people anything or prepare them. The APNU, the PNC, the AFC, they didn't do anything to retrain the people. They didn't give them pieces of land. I was suggesting that in the raw. Give the people some pieces of land. Help them to learn to do something, teach them to do poultry growing, grow goat and sheep, let them consolidate, let them learn to do bartering, help them to open fish farms. They were not listening to me. So how could they expect to win that election? How could they expect to win the 2020 election? How do they expect to win the upcoming election?
Yeah.
How they would expect to win the 2025 election coming up now I don't see them winning anything.
So it therefore means you're saying that in your opinion or your estimation, the PPP wins. Do they increase their one-seat majority, or you think it's just about the same?
I think they have been doing so much for this country. Some people, you know, our people are hard. They have hard allegiance to political parties. Mm-hmm. No matter what one might do for them, no matter what they may say on top. I'm talking for both major groups that support these parties. And it is known that when people go, look, I'm going to vote for you, you know. And it happened to my Muslim brother. He thought when he went to all the masjids in the PNC time. He thought with Hoy time. He thought when he went to the masjids and he asked all the Muslims, "You're going to vote for me, right? Yeah. You're going to vote for me, right? You're going to vote for, gosh, you're going to get 8 seats." He really thought he was going to get 8 seats. And I predicted he would get a third of 1 seat.
Mr. Khan, the operator signaled that you have come out of the raw because our time has come. So let's go back into the raw and finish in the raw.
Yeah.
Why you named the program In the Raw quickly?
Because I saw what was taking place there, and I had to come, and I had to be in the raw. I had to speak the truth. I had to be in the, not in the raw like him, in the raw.
Well, all right. We have to go now. Leonard, could you just try to say in the raw you
No, I don't have that vocal range.
But try.
Try.
No. Hear this thing.
You're Corinthian, man.
No. Hear this thing. Remember in
You're
boxing, they had a guy named Michael Buffer, and only he could say, "Let's get ready to rumble."
Let's get ready to rumble.
You don't try to imitate those guys. You just.
He wanted for the fun, man. Let me hear you.
Nah.
Our operator signal, we have to go. Thanks for being with us this Monday evening. You were looking at one of the known personalities in Guyana, very well-known Muslim preacher, very well-known businessman, very well-known former ERC commissioner, and the very known host of a very known social media program called In the Raw. I'm not going to try to gesticulate and get those decibels going in saying In the Raw, but on that note of In the Raw, see you later. Bye-bye.
Farewell, friends.